on behalf of the Chairman, on behalf of the Director of Russian Center for Science and Culture and the entire family of Rus Education, I extend a very, very warm welcome to you, sir. Admiral RK Dhowan was the 22nd Chief of the Indian Navy. He has had a very, very brilliant tenure, and I must tell you, with a person with his foresight, with an officer of his caliber, the Indian Navy is well on its course to modernization and being amongst one of the best in the world.
Mr. Rozovsky, the Director of the Russian Science and Cultural Center, Dr. Wasim, the Chairman of Rus Education, Air Marshal Bhavan Kapoor, Captain Narayan, senior members of the management, and members of the Rus Education family. It is indeed a distinct honor for me to be present here today to share my thoughts with all of you. At the very outset, I would like to congratulate Dr. Wasim for his vision of having started this very unique venture of Rus Education 25 years ago. And I say that it is a unique venture also because he has managed to get this team which is in front of me together to accomplish what he has set his vision to provide the opportunity for affordable education for those aspiring for higher education to be doctors in India for their education both in Russia as well as abroad. I call this a unique venture because what all of you in this organization actually aims to do is to sell a dream. And not only to sell a dream, but to have the mission to accomplish that dream and turn it into a reality. Why do I call it a dream? Because in India, to be a doctor is indeed a dream. And it is a dream not only for the student or the child, but also the dream of the parent. In a country where children still choose their future careers based on what the parents tell them. It still happens in India, may not happen abroad. But here still, the parents tell their children what to do. And in that, becoming a doctor is certainly a dream. It is a dream for another reason, and it has something to do with the culture of India again. Because in India, it is very important for a child as he or she grows up is to secure a job. There is some kind of an emotional attachment that a child must grow up and get a job, and every child is told by the parents ki beta ya beti padh ke naukri dhondo. That's a very important aspect in this country. And what better job can you look for than being a doctor? In a country where we have shortage of nearly 10 lakh doctors in this country, I think being a doctor is the most noble profession. And therefore it is a dream for every child and indeed the parent that the daughter or the son must pursue this dream and become a doctor. Another very important part is that is why all of you are privileged, because you are part of the organization which is not only selling the dream, but is also working to provide help, assistance, support in whichever manner to ensure that that dream comes true. Another important aspect of this whole organization is the issue related to affordability. Because in India, it is very difficult to become a doctor. Not only do the students have to be toppers and get the maximum marks, it is also very, very expensive. to pursue medical education in this country. And this is where Rus Education comes in once again, because even if a child is not a topper, his dream is not lost. There is a glimmer of hope which is provided by Rus Education, that you can still pursue your medical career and still pursue it in a manner which is affordable, and you can be provided a degree, but it's not an easy task. And therefore, it is something that is looked up upon by students as well as the parents to take this avenue, take this opportunity so that their children can pursue medical education and indeed other education also in Russia and in other parts of the world. What I have told you is probably something which is the obvious and something which you already know. But the challenge is that how are we to achieve the same? How are we to achieve the task in front of us? And I would like to say that for that we need to have a vision and we need to chart the way ahead for this organization in a long-term perspective. And for that, my suggestion would be that there has to be a thought with regard to some change in the work culture. And I would like to suggest what I call the C4I of a work culture. The 4 C's standing for commitment, compassion, courage, and credibility, and the I for integrity. Commitment towards your work, towards your profession, towards your organization has to come first, always and every time. And this is no ordinary commitment, because once you have made the commitment, you need to set the tasks and goals, and then you need to put in your heart and soul to achieve that commitment. And while setting your commitments, while setting your tasks and goals, you have to be sincere and honest with yourself that these are commitments which you can achieve. It is not something that you will just write on paper, because these are your commitments, these are your tasks and goals, and then you're accountable that you achieve these tasks and goals, and in achieving your tasks and goals, you will achieve with your commitment the goals and tasks and the vision of your organization. The second most important aspect is that of compassion. Compassion towards your colleagues, compassion towards the students, compassion towards the entire team. Remember that no single individual can achieve anything on his or her own, however brilliant he or she may be. You need to understand the strengths and weaknesses of your team. In your line of work, everything actually overlaps with each other. A counselor's work is overlapping with what is happening in the administration side. The administration work is overlapping what is happening in the finance side. So you need to have a system where you understand the strengths as well as the weaknesses of your colleagues, so that you can work with compassion, shoulder to shoulder, as a member of the team to achieve your goals, tasks, as well as commitment. Next is courage, both physical and moral. The courage of conviction to understand right from wrong. Very, very important aspect. And once you've understood what is right and what is wrong, to follow the right path, however difficult it may be. And it's a small or a simple statement, but very difficult. And you need to have the courage of conviction to follow the right path. The courage to face challenges. Even in your day-to-day life, you are faced with challenges. The challenges of your targets, the challenges of achieving those targets. And at times you may feel that this is too big a challenge. So what can you do? You can have the courage to face that challenge, to achieve the targets that you are not being able to achieve, or you can ignore the targets, you can ignore the challenges. But if you face the challenges, have the courage to face the challenges, you will learn to come out of adversities with flying colors. Next most important aspect and a quality and part of your ethos and work culture should be credibility. Credibility as an individual, credibility as a professional. And this is a quality which will always precede you wherever you go, but it has to be built up. As a counselor, how will you have the credibility with the parent or with the student that you're trying to counsel unless you know your profession, unless you know the procedures, unless you know the details of a university, unless you know what are you trying to counsel? And that is not an easy task. You have to be proficient. Only then you will be convincing. Only then will you build up credibility. And once you achieve a small success, that will enthuse you to continue and build up your credibility with the parent, with the students, within your organization, and become a true professional who has the credibility to go on. And finally, encompassing all these aspects is the issue of integrity, which has to be beyond doubt, always and every time. So what should you do? You should continue to strive for excellence and bring excellence into your work ethos and your work culture, and never let routine mediocrity become your standard. It is very easy to slip down, very easy to say that this mediocrity is my standard. But you need to continue your efforts to strive for excellence. Once you have decided that this is going to be my work culture, what is the next step? The next step is to make a plan. And the plan has to be made out by the higher management to give a vision to the organization. And I would suggest that you have at least a 10 to 15 year perspective of where do you want this organization to be? What do you want this organization to achieve? And then set the tasks and goals. And I would suggest that these are short-term tasks and there are long-term goals. Short-term tasks, 1 year perspective. Long-term tasks, initially 3 to 5 years perspective. And this is to be done by every single individual in the organization. A person who is fairly junior and just dealing with counseling aspects may say that how am I supposed to set the tasks and goals? But your tasks and goals are your tasks and goals. What you have to see, what have I achieved in the last 1 year? And then, what do I want to achieve in the next 1 year? Simply stated, that becomes your task or short-term task. But you have to be sincere in actually then laying down as to what do I want to achieve? Second, how will I achieve it? And then, most importantly, by when? Unless you put a timeline, you will not be able to quantify and indicate to yourself or to the organization whether you have achieved anything or not. When every individual has a short-term task and goal, then a department, those tasks and goals are put together as the tasks and goals and the vision for that department. And similarly, you then get an entire vision and the tasks and goals of the entire organization. This is a little painstaking exercise, but it's not very difficult. Why is it important? It's important because when we are trying to review the performance, we can see the performance of every individual at the end of 6 months or at the end of 1 year as to whether those goals and tasks which you have set yourself have been achieved or not. In the team organization, you will also lay down as to who is to achieve these tasks. And then you'll be able to assess that has that particular team achieved the tasks or not. If the numbers or the target set are achieved, then that team needs to consolidate and move on to the next level. But if you have not achieved your tasks and goals, and if you have not achieved your targets, then I think it is time for introspection. It is time to see what went wrong. It is time to set things right, and the team may have to buck up or pull up the socks to achieve the targets the next time around. This, I think, is the basis of any performance assessment, and it is very important for an organization to have the vision, have the short-term tasks, and have the long-term goals, which need to be set in this manner and achieve that. Another important aspect is, I mentioned that we are trying to achieve what we say the accomplishment of the dream. If you see in the work that Rus Education is doing, it is very important that the child who has gone for further education comes back and gets the opportunity to work as a doctor. If in that process getting a degree may not be enough, because there are certain other hurdles in the way, something like the NCI exams and so on, which he or she has to clear. So I think the organization also has to have the vision to look a little forward and see that if there are certain lacunas, if there are certain hurdles which need to be brought up, then you need to have the full organization in terms of providing coaching, in terms of having coaching centers, in terms of having the children go through these procedures every couple of months so that they are better equipped in achieving the end product of not only getting a degree but also serving as doctors. I would also like to say that this is an opportunity for you to get a free partnership from the chairman in this organization. And with Dr. Wasim's agreement, I would like to say that all of you are partners in this organization. Partners in what? Partners in prosperity, partnership in progress of the organization. Because when you work as a partner, when you feel as a partner, and you work towards the progress of the partnership of the organization, and if the organization achieves some success, it also results in your progression in the organization. So if you look at that aspect, not just as a mundane job, but that you are contributing something towards the well-being, something towards the progress of the organization, then the whole organization will become a vibrant place. The whole organization will have new enthusiasm where all of you would like to work as a part of the organization and work towards the prosperity and work towards the progress of the organization. I would like to say that the aim, and I would like to wish this organization to be an efficient as well as a happy organization. What do we mean by an organization being efficient? By putting in more resources, if you get more output, that is not an efficient organization. You need to get more output with less inputs. So you need to cut down on the resources that you're putting in to get the maximum output. In other words, you need to achieve much more with much less. And what do we mean by a happy organization? Because when an individual is happy, then the output is definitely much more. When should you be happy? You should be happy now. This very instant is the time to be happy. Don't wait that when I achieve something, then I will be happy. I think you need to be instantly happy now. And where should you be happy? You should be happy here, in your workplace. Because if you're happy in your workplace, you will also be happy at home. And how should you be happy? By making somebody else happy. Because when you make somebody else happy, that happiness comes back to you. that happiness spreads as a contagious disease in the organization and makes everybody happy. I would therefore like to wish this organization to be an efficient and a happy organization and wish you success in all your endeavors. Thank you very much.